Paris has a reputation for being a city of love and of art and of beauty, even though there is a suspicious amount of Comic Sans on a lot of the signs there. Which, what is up with that? I truly do not know. Anyways, Paris has this reputation of being this perfect magical city, something that is definitely amplified in a lot of North American media. But for a lot of people, when they actually visit Paris, they realize it's just like any other big city. It's noisy, crowded, dirty, and it's not really as glamorous as the movies make it seem. I actually didn't feel this. I actually had my expectations fully exceeded with how gorgeous the city was and how clean it was and just overall how much I enjoyed it.
That being said, this idea of the Paris effect is something I feel really applies to creative work. I know in the past I have easily built up these grand ideas of what it means to work in my chosen field. And it wasn't until I actually started working in it that I realized my dreams didn't exist. And it took a few years of feeling like, oh, I'm just a few steps away, or like, I'm just not doing it right, until I realized, no, this is it. This is the dream I've wanted to live. And this is the reality of it. It's not the movie version. It's not the overly romanticized one. This is actual real life.
The Paris that I ended up capturing on film was a mix of the dreaminess as well as the reality. I wanted to show the city as I was seeing and experiencing it, which for someone who'd never been there before and had really not experienced much of Europe, it was like a dream a lot of the time. I think it's a gorgeous city. I think the people are very nice, although I've had actual Parisians tell me they were surprised to hear that I would say that. And overall, it was just very inspiring to live somewhere where art was such an important part of day-to-day life.
This first batch of photos was taken as part of an assignment I had to do for school involving street photography. Now, a lot of street photography, especially street portraiture, is taken in a style that, while it can look really, really good, it's not really my kind of style as a photographer. I'm not really super into the idea of approaching strangers and asking them to take photos of their outfits, not because I'm afraid to talk to them or anything. I just find that the kind of photos you get from doing that tend to all look sort of similar, and they're just not the kind of photos I'm interested in taking. So when it came to the photos I took for this, I wanted to approach the streets a little bit differently. A big thing that I wanted to consider when taking these photos was anonymity, and my goal was to try to have the people in the photos being more ephemeral, kind of ghost-like with a lot of their movement and the way I captured them. You can see in a lot of the photos that you either don't see the person's face at all, or if you do see it, it's quite blurry because they were moving as I took the photo and I used a longer shutter speed. I wanted to show the streets as having a bit of life to them and having movement to them. And I think that when I was capturing people who were completely static, I just wasn't getting that feeling as strongly as I'd liked. I did have a few photos where the people were not blurry, such as this one of the two people standing in front of the building. But even here, you can see their faces are obscured, and it feels just like a casual, anonymous moment of sorts. And in this photo as well, you can see that the woman is looking towards the camera. She does notice me, she's in focus, and she's not as blurry. But at the same time, she does still have that movement of stepping forward, and because of how dark her face is with the hat and her hair and just the way I've edited the photo, I felt like it still kept that anonymous feeling that I was after. I'm really happy with how this series turned out because I feel like it achieved the goal that I wanted, which was to show off the streets of Paris, but in a little bit of a grittier and at the same time more day-to-day sort of way. I think a lot of people, when they go to photograph Paris, or maybe this is just my thoughts of like what I was expecting before I came to the city, but I feel like you see a lot of really beautiful fashion and really put together outfits, and everything feels very stylized and intentional. And while I would say that that is how a lot of people dress, and that's not inaccurate, people like to look nice there, I also feel like that representation of Paris wasn't really capturing the day-to-day life and movement and just walking around and exploring that I was doing at that time. Like I said, I'm really happy with how this series turned out, and I'd like to take it a step further when adding it to my portfolio and maybe adding some form of graphic design element to it, whether it be through titles or maybe turning these into collages. I'm not really sure yet. I have not gotten to that phase of this project, but as it stands, I'm really happy with the quality of photos in the end. The next group of photos were kind of rejects from a different assignment that I had had for school, where we had to pretend that we were shooting for a travel magazine. I really liked a lot of these photos. They weren't quite right for the assignment, but I thought that they would be really nice to share in this video. I got a lot of these in the galleries of Paris, which is also, I think, called the arcades of Paris. That's what my instructor referred to them as. And they're these really cool covered marketplaces of sorts. They kind of feel like alleyways that have roofs put on them, and then there's little shops and restaurants in all of them. Some of the photos are from the galleries themselves, others are from various things that I saw on the streets as I was walking around. And I liked these photos because once again they have that gritty but almost dreamlike feeling to them, and dreaminess is a huge thing I like to have in my work. So those soft yellow colors and the subtle shadows, maybe things are a little blurry. I love that. To me, that's exactly what I want to get in my work. And so that's why I really like these photos and still wanted to share them. This last set of photos was taken just outside my apartment in the courtyard. I have quite a few photos here because I really liked the building I was living in, and I was always trying to capture it at different times of day. These photos were taken as I had just gotten home and the sun was setting. It was well past golden hour, well past blue hour. It was almost like a purple indigo hour, and I really loved how the sky looked. And I especially loved how it looked with the sharp lines of the building framing the sunset up above. I was practically lying on the ground trying to get these photos. I wish I had a video of it, but I was alone, so I don't. But I'm super grateful that I walked home at the time that I did, because the fact that a couple of the lights are on and you have this really nice graphic shape from the edges of the building, it is great. It is exactly what I wanted to achieve. And again, total accident, because I wasn't planning to take this photo when I went out that day. I just got home at the right time and happened to have my camera with me to capture it. This next batch of photos was all taken pretty much within not only one day, within a few hours. I had signed up to take a street art workshop, and it was about a 45-minute walk from my apartment. So on the way there, during, and back, I took as many photos as I could of people around me, the buildings, and of course the graffiti that we were working on, because I thought it looked really cool. And I have to say, it was the fastest I have ever finished a roll of film. Normally, even in a city as gorgeous as Paris, I was holding on to one for about a month, but I went through this one so fast. I was hoping I might get to use these for a potential assignment in school, but that didn't end up being the case because they didn't really fit the briefs of anything I was assigned. But I am still really happy with them and wanted to share them. There's nothing in here that I think particularly stands out as something really, really amazing that I would want to necessarily put in my portfolio. There's maybe a few that I would pair with that first section of street art photos I showed before. But this time, I don't know, I kind of like how these are very amateurish, just to be quite honest. That's not me trying to put myself down or anything. I wasn't really planning when I took a lot of these, and I do think it shows in the photos. But I also think that's what makes them kind of special to me. The fact that they're also taken on film does give them this feeling of being from a different era almost. To me, they have a bit of a 90s feeling to them. And I like that there's a sense of nostalgia in something, even though that is entirely manufactured because these were taken in March of this year. This photo of the train tracks is one of the few that turned out that I actually really do love. I was able to stop and get this completely isolated and really take my time with setting it up and trying to capture the subject, which was the train tracks. Unlike the other photos where my subjects were moving around a lot and I didn't necessarily know I'd want to take the photo until like a second before I took it, I really got time to compose this one, and I do feel like it paid off. Seeing this one now, I wish I'd been able to do that with the whole reel, but I'm still learning film at this point in time. This was only like my third or fourth roll of film I'd ever shot. So while I understood the camera and the specifics and the settings, it was more so trying to figure out how to set myself up to take photos I'd be happy with. That was definitely something I was still learning at this point. This final batch of photos were all taken on disposable cameras. I love disposable cameras. I love that they are making a comeback, and I think they are so much fun. I find that when you want to take a photo on a disposable camera of someone or something, people are way more likely to say yes. I don't know if it's because it's more interactive and fun than taking a photo on a digital camera or what exactly is going on, but I am more than happy to have an easier time taking photos of places and people. If that's what disposable cameras are gonna get me, then it makes me very excited. I of course went up the Eiffel Tower. Actually ended up going up several times because every time someone visited, that's what they wanted to do. I'm really happy with how this batch of them turned out just because we happened to be up there right at sunset, so I was lucky and got some amazing lighting to make these photos turn out just perfect. These disposable camera photos were taken a little later in the year. I think it was around March or April. I took them as I was walking to the American Library, which is right by the Eiffel Tower, and there's a street that's 1 block over, and it has, I think, one of the best street views of the Eiffel Tower. It is blocked slightly by some of the buildings in front of it, but I think that makes it almost a little more special because you get to see multiple kinds of Parisian architecture all from one viewpoint. And I remember the first time I walked around the corner and saw that view of it, I was like, okay, this is gorgeous. I'm very excited. I have decided to come to the library, and I'm really excited that I have my camera with me. A lot of these photos are ones where, to be honest, I'm not really sure what the next steps for them are. I've shared a few on Instagram, and obviously I'm sharing them here now. I don't know if I'm going to develop them into any kind of further portfolio project or really what I want to do with them, but it's really exciting to get to share them and to make a video explaining what I was thinking as this was all going on. I highly recommend, if you are going to Paris anytime soon, that you bring as many cameras as you can. Maybe you don't need 5 like I had carrying around with me all the time. That was a little excessive, but I definitely recommend that you bring your best digital camera. Bring your phone. Your phone is still going to get nice photos, and grab a disposable camera while you're there. You're going to get really beautiful photos that almost feel like postcards, and trust me, it is worth the money. You are going to love how they turn out.